This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I'd call to order the Haslett City Council, April 3rd, 2023 at 7:02 p.m. We have 4 members present, Council Member Morrow, Council Member Nahira, Council Member Ricketts, Council Member Doug Hort. And do we have Mayor Pro Tem online? Is there? I do not see, so it would not count. All right. Mayor Pro Tem is absent tonight. If Mayor Pro Tem should come online, both video and audio, please let me know. You join me in the invocation and pledge of allegiance. We bow our heads. Thank you, Almighty Father, for the many blessings you've bestowed upon us. We thank you for your guidance and your wisdom. We ask that you be with us always. In Jesus' name, amen. And if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Items of community interest. Friday, April 7th, 2023. Haslett City offices and public library will be closed in observance of Good Friday. Saturday, April 6th. May 6th, Saturday, May 6th, 2023 is the election, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have a general election for the purpose of electing mayor, council member place 2, and council member place 4. Also on the ballot, you'll see City of Haslett Special Election Proposition A concerning authorizing the city to sell certain development dedicated parkland. If approved by Haslett voters, the city will be authorized to enter into negotiations with the Northwest Independent School District for NISD purchase of this property. The property is needed by NISD for the construction of a public elementary school to serve City of Haslett children from subdivisions in this area, with portions of the property to be used for nature teaching and remain accessible to the public for their enjoyment. This property is located along north side of Blue Mound Road East, near the intersection of Blue Mound Road East and Harmon Road, and it being a 24.1 acre site. The last day to register to vote is Saturday, May 6, 2023. I'm sorry. The last day to register to vote in the Saturday, May 6, 2023 election is Thursday, April the 6th, 2023. Please visit www.votetexas.gov to check registration status and to register to vote. Early voting begins Monday, April 24th, 2023, and goes through Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. Please visit www.haslett.org to view the hours and locations. 4C, Haslett is hiring. We need everybody's help to spread the word. We need a water maintenance worker level 1 and a water maintenance worker level 2. Can apply at www.haslett.org. Item 5, updates on activities, projects, and event recaps. Mr. Tucker. Mr. Rogers, you can assist if you like.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you all, anybody who's been in this part of town, if you head over towards the park in the community park, well, there's a nice big, huge concrete slab sitting out there with posts and all sticking out of it. So our tennis court project is moving ahead quite well, looking really good. So we're still on track. Everything's good. The weather's been working for them. We've gotten cool, rainy weather when they needed it to slow down the curing of the concrete. We've got nice, warm weather when they needed it. So everything's been good. And on our Asset Parkway construction, the utilities are finally really starting to move. Encore's getting stuff moved off of poles. They got one of the biggest hurdles we've been waiting on is an old dead man pole that was in the old schoolyard by the stairs going up. They finally got that removed today. That one's been holding up the water line lowering project as well as the rest of the dirt work on that section of the roadway. So that one's gone. So that's going to help move some things forward. And then our L got open today. That was an exciting morning. A lot of you were in attendance, so that's great. It was really fun. I think Stephen's even got some pictures of some of the folks that were there this morning. Our commissioner was there, a lot of folks from TxDOT, Hillwood, our partners all showed up. It was a pretty good time. It wasn't very long, short to the point, but we got it open and it is being used. Some of our clients up in the industrial area up here, especially the BNSF auto yard, those guys have really figured that road out really fast. They are using that thing coming and going to their yard pretty well today. So we're real proud of them. Some of the others, FedEx is learning. There's a few of them I've seen today, so they're getting there. But it is open, so anybody wants to use it, it's ready for you.
Very good. And for the others in the audience, we held the road actually opened Friday, March 31st at 3 o'clock. And we held the ribbon cutting this morning between 10 and 11. The reason for that ribbon cutting was to thank those partners very specifically that funded this whole project and enabled it was Hillwood Development Corporation, Stream Realty Group, Tarrant County Precinct 3, Gary Fickus, our Commissioner Gary Fickus, and North Central Council, Texas Council of Governments, Michael Morris, and also TxDOT. They were in a critical role. In fact, they were the first group I went to on this idea, but they helped pave a way. So this cutting, this whole ceremony was just a public thank you all. Great thing. Nonetheless, we did get a compliment. I go, thank you, Mayor. It was short and to the point. I said,
yes,
you're welcome. Very good. Well, thank you all. I will tell, I will tell a big thank you to Public Works, even our administrative office, fire department. Everybody played a hand in prepping this site, getting things ready, all the logistics that had to happen in the background to make a small event like this happen. It was good. Thank you all.
Y'all are welcome. Do you have any questions about any of the project? Or y'all good? Well, thank y'all very much.
Great. Well, item 6, our consent agenda. 6A is approval of the March 2023 regular city council meeting minutes, and 6B is approval of an ordinance amending the Haslett Code of Ordinance modifying Article 12.05 stop intersections of Chapter 12 stop intersections to add new stop intersections to the city's official inventory of stop intersections. Council, is there any item you would like to pull for discussion?
I had a question about 6B.
Yes,
Do I
please.
pull it or just talk?
Or just go ahead and ask your
Okay.
question.
So these were added, Sweetgrass 1A and 1C. The mitigation plan that we just did last meeting, are those already in the ordinance? All
That's
added?
not involved in this.
Okay, this is something completely separate. So
This is correct. This is very specific to the subdivisions that this is signage with regard to the subdivision specific that they are responsible for.
okay, so the ones we add for Caraway and the other places will be added later to the.
Yes,
Okay, that's what the
correct.
question was. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I move to accept and approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Motion is made to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a second?
Mary Hosey, I second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous, 4-0. Motion passes. Item 7, public hearings, ordinances, resolutions, and action items. 7A, discuss, consider, and act on a recommendation from the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. Mr. Mike Anderson. Mr. Mike Anderson is joining us virtually. As you recall, this was tabled from the last meeting with a very specific question being with regard, I think it was a $650,000 line item, and I think cost share was the same value, and the question was why. You can start out with that and then go ahead and present your report, but that was the impetus of tabling.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Council. If I could get someone to go to supporting document 4 on the screen, that would be helpful. Stephen James. There we go. So there was a question during my presentation at the last meeting with regards to the lower portion of the document you see in front of you. The 2 cost columns, you have the total project cost column, and then you have the eligible cost columns. I misspoke at the last meeting and stated that there was a 50% credit being given in the eligible cost column of this report. Actually, what's being calculated in the eligible cost column is only the percent of that project that will be utilized during this 10-year planning period. So in other words, if a line has 1,000 gallons per minute capacity and we're using 900 gallons a minute, then we multiply the total cost in column 1 by 0.9, and that determines the eligible cost. The 50% mandated credit, as required by the local government code, occurs at the next stage in the calculations. This report here is just a summary of the total project costs and those portions of the costs that are eligible for the impact fee calculation. So there was some confusion about that at the last meeting. I apologize that I did not have the report in front of me. I did go back and get that verified and spoke with some other folks in my office that are a little more knowledgeable than myself on this, and hope that clears things up for the members of the council this evening. So any questions to what I've presented here so far before I go back to the report summary?
I had one quick question. So you said the eligible costs are covered by impact fees. That's what you said last time. That's accurate?
Yes, ma'am. So the eligible portion of the project costs are the numerator of the impact fee calculation that is then divided by the total MUEs projected over that 10-year planning period. So it's a summary of the eligible costs.
Let me ask you to, so as I see this, let's say number 2 under sewer projects, TRA meter station, the project cost is $675,000. We have a project eligible cost of $675,000. The impact fee can fund the full $675,000. That's the question.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Very good.
Okay, yes, there's no changes then made to supporting document 4, correct, from last time to this time?
No, ma'am. What's
No.
in your
That
packet?
same documents that was presented.
And so our recommendation from the CIAC committee and our office is that the city continue moving forward with the projects and spending project funds on those projects highlighted that you see here in yellow. As I stated last time, we're in the process of updating both the water master plan and sewer master plan. Upon conclusion of those 2 studies sometime this summer, we will then get into the formal impact fee update. I believe there was a schedule included in this document. as supporting document number 5 should be the next item. There you go. And so myself or Roman from our office will be bringing you more detailed scheduling updates and walking you through the process. But as you can see, it's essentially a 6-month process to formally adopt new impact fees. So working through the process at this point, we're basically in step 2. You guys have approved the land use assumptions that was done last fall through your master land use plan. We've taken those and we're in the process of updating models for water and sewer to derive the new capital improvements plan, which will then update project costs and project eligibilities. And those will be used to calculate a new maximum impact fee. So the CIC recommends that you continue on the path that you're on, and we'll just continue to update you all with things as they present themselves.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Anderson? We'll need a motion to approve or disapprove, or to table again.
Have you moved to 2, Mayor Halsey?
Oh,
Discuss considering that.
moved out to 2. It's automatic. Discuss, consider, and act. Yeah,
Mayor
thank you.
Halsey?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation from the Capital Improvement Advisory Committee.
And that recommendation being what? To approve this report?
To approve the report, yes.
Motion is made on recommendation of the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee to approve this report. Did I get that correct?
That is correct.
Very good. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous, 4-0. Thank you, council. Motion approved. 7B, discuss, consider, and act on an ordinance amending the Haslett Code of Ordinances by amending sections 12.02.003 designated truck routes and 12.04-001 certain speed limits set, and directing the erection of appropriate signage and providing an effective date. All right, then. Mr. Rogers.
Mayor and council, this is adding some of our new roadways that are coming online. The extension of Intermodal Parkway and Haslett Parkway, which are all brand new, so we had to put them into this and bring them up to that I-35 service road and include the new portions of the service road that we have. So we had to, those are being put in here. That's the 12.02.003 for the truck routes. We wanted to get those added to our list. Then we wanted to go in, and these speed limits are adjusting, such as over here on Avondale Haslett now, where we have a residential street coming out of Laterra into the roadway now that's taking that speed limit and lowering it to a residential style section through that portion of the roadway today. And also Haslett Parkway setting, there's a preliminary speed out there, but actually setting a speed limit on that road. And since it's kind of a combination, we've got a lot of residential traffic, especially out of Caraway, coming to that intersection and up to 35. So making that area also, we're going with the idea of 35 to kind of keep that down through those areas, since we have cars and trucks meeting at that one spot. And then adding that new piece of course, Intermodal Parkway and getting it all under one whole roof so that it's all one.
Stephen, would you go back to the speed limits? There you go.
Yeah. So that's the new changes that we're proposing to make to the ordinance to get it up to date so that everybody knows what we've got and the sheriffs will know what we got so that they can watch those areas for these items.
So I'll
So-
say that I had questions with regard to Haslett Parkway. Currently, as it is in the text dot plan, it is 45 miles
45
an
miles
hour.
an hour.
And did you want to discuss that?
Mayor Holsey, I did.
Please go ahead.
I guess my question was that is, we look right now, anything south, going down through Brentwood and all that is 45 miles an hour. And going south down towards North Glen and through Hugh White is 55 miles an hour. And those are a lot of our residential areas. And to me, if we're going to keep those at 45 and 55, the trucks are going to want to continue on down 156. And if we make Haslett Parkway 35, they're not going to want to go that direction, where I think that's counterproductive from what we wanted. We wanted to try to move the trucks out Haslett Parkway and not bring them down through our neighborhoods on
Well,
156.
Let me make a clarification on the next page, please. Okay, you see where 156 is designated 45 and 55. And that's not particularly by choice of the city. That is a text dot state inventory highway, and they have that. Now, there is a process to change that, but that's not particularly upon recommendation by anybody in the city. And I just wanted to point that out. Because you said if
Yeah,
we're
we got
keeping this.
control over Haslett Parkway, but not that.
That's exactly, I understand that. But if we make Haslett Parkway 35, that's just my own opinion, that the trucks are going to continue down 156 until those changes are made by TxDOT, or until we make those changes, the trucks are going to continue down 156 and be deterred to go down Haslett Parkway because the speed limit's low.
Very good. Any other further discussion?
Yeah, I had the same idea. If you lower the speed limit, these guys are not going to want to go through there. The other question I had is, I guess you may have answered it. So on 156, the state determines whether that's a truck route or not the city of Haslett.
Yes,
But all the other roads that are listed here, obviously we can set the
those
speed
are
limit.
ours that we have control over.
Okay.
And any other questions on the truck route or the speed limits?
Well, I guess my other question would be if we decide to keep Haslett Parkway 45, would that be too large of a transition to go from 45 to 35 to Avondale Haslett? 45 to 40, it's 40 right now, correct? Yeah. I guess makes sense more than 45 to 35. We might want to look at that as well.
And repeat that, change it from, if we kept it at 45, could we do what?
I said if we choose as a council to keep Haslett Parkway 45, it might be too much of a decrease to go to 35 at Avondale Haslett Road, which it'll eventually turn into. 40 might be the better option.
Very good.
Yeah,
And council,
that's the
you're
current
at,
on Avondale is 40. That's what most all of our collector streets like that, our big streets are mostly all 40s. Intermodal Parkway is 40. West Park Parkway is 40. Avondale, yes, 40.
well, that's an interesting, and I saw that too, is intermodal is 40 miles an hour. And we have two, I'll say, residential feeders into Haslett Parkway, one right now with Harmon Road, and then soon to be completed is the south side of intermodal. There's about a 100-yard stretch, I guess, that is yet to be poured. And when that is poured, both Caraway and the Sweetgrass subdivisions will utilize that to go up onto intermodal, or to Haslett Parkway. And just crossed my mind. And when Haslett Parkway gets to Avondale Haslett, that'll be 40 miles an hour. So why not establish it at 40 miles an hour? That seems to be a happy medium between 35 and 45. But I'll say this, council, you can make a motion and put in
Yeah,
here,
these-
change any
Change
item
any of
on
these you
here
want.
to your suggested speed limit.
I mean, the 35s were only recommendations because of the car traffic. being at those intersections. That's the only real reason why. The areas where we have nothing but trucks basically on Intermodal Parkway for that whole section, that's why they're 40. But for us, it doesn't matter a lot. But it's whenever we get a lot of cars and trucks in the same vicinity, that's when we start getting a little worried, a little worried about how things might happen with
And I
those
don't want to
cars
be a
pulling
safety
in.
issue, but I really understand your point of we're trying to deter that truck
Mhm.
traffic, and that might not be the best way to do it, is to lower.
Yeah, it
I
might
guess
be
the
better to leave
the
it.
second question would be, and I know what you brought it up already, Mayor Halsey, is the aspect of have we started looking at the aspect of reducing the speed limit or making that recommendation to TxDOT since those are residential areas? Because if you look at almost all except for the downtown area is residential areas along 156, and our speed limits are 45 and 50.
That will be a result of the traffic study that's
Yes.
being performed right now.
So
That
my,
was the phase 2
That's
of
the
the
first
traffic
thing.
mitigation plan.
so my question would be until we actually know what's going on with that traffic study, should this item itself be put on hold to the recommended speed limits that are already out there until we get that completed?
I would say no. You can change this again in 2 weeks. There's no,
Okay.
I'll
I
just
was
chime
gonna,
in. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but if we don't set a speed limit, the prima facie speed limit established by the state would be 30 miles an hour. So
Yes.
it would be even slower if we did not establish a different.
Okay, so they said that there's already
Their proposal is 45 mile an
Yeah, the
hour
proposal.
on Haslett Parkway. They
now,
didn't make any proposal on the section of intermodal.
now because they have posted that, that doesn't mean that is the
Yeah, it's
speed
not.
limit.
That's just
That
what
was an
their
assumption
proposal
on their part.
Mhm.
The city
and
has to accept it.
that's sort of my question. Since that was the assumption on their part, do we keep it as it is until we get this done? Because that keeps it at least 45 and 45 on 156. Because I really think that if you lower it much less than, if you lower it less than 156, the trucks are going to continue down 156.
Well, I don't know that is particularly the case. As this route is more discovered by the truckers, they will take this route because it's shorter and much more expedient, probably regardless of the speed limit. But I understand what you're saying. Would you like to make a motion to this effect?
I have a quick question. So we can change this at any time, you said, right?
Yes.
Mhm. You can leave it as it is. And
I
pick
had
the
this,
45 for it. And then 2 weeks later, if you see somebody gets in a bad car wreck or something happens, or we just notice traffic changes out there, we may find out, people figure out, man, there's trucks there, and they go around the other way because maybe there's not as many trucks on Blue Mountain or on 156. We don't know until they all really start learning what that road's all about. It could be a total game changer out here for all we know. We hope so.
But we do
But we
need
don't know
to
that.
establish speed limits on these new
Yeah, we do need
roadways.
something, otherwise the sheriffs can't enforce anything.
I had another question before we move on Avondale Haslett. How much of that area do we control before it turns into Fort Worth? Like how much would be 35?
All the way to the S curve.
So from 7-Eleven to the S curve. The
From 156 all the way to
first
the
S
S
curve.
curve. Yeah.
I mean, that's not a lot, but
Mm.
and then they would go from 35 just back to 40.
Mm-hmm.
and I had the same concern with that particular area because right now I see what you're saying. It's a safety issue, but as the road gets expanded,
Yeah.
we may be
'cause
able to
right
bump it
now,
up to 30, which
I
if
don't
we
know
can do
how
it at any
many-
time, then that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know how many travel it, but when you come over, because you kind of are coming over a rise currently, which will go away with the new road, but the John Day Road where it comes out to Avondale is on a downhill grade, and how they do it, some people get across them tracks and they're 45 plus before they top that. They're going so fast. Those people coming in and out over there are the guy that's sitting there waiting. One that's really the big word, because you don't see him until you're almost on top of him.
That's a very unsafe.
And we thought
Has
about
been
this
for us.
because this is
Intersection.
also a big bus route. Avondale has become a
Mhm.
huge bus route now because of the elementary school being there instead of where it was before. It was kind of off the beaten path. Now it's more or less became part of the beaten path being
And
over that way.
my concern of 45 to 35 isn't even a factor since they're not connected. So I'm good with 35, but I agree with Hassett Park.
Our mics are on. I'm leaning.
Yes, I'll lean into it.
All right, council, someone going to offer up a motion?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion amending the Haslett Code of Ordinances by amending sections 1202-003, designated truck routes, 1204-001, certain speed limit set, and directing the erection of appropriate signage and providing an effective date with the change of Haslett Parkway on section 3 to remain 45.
Motion is made to approve the ordinance amending the Hassett Code of Ordinances by amending sections 12.02.003 and section 12.04.001, certain speed limits, but changing the Haslett Parkway from 35 to 45 miles per hour. Did I get that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Is there a second?
Mayor Holsey, I'll second.
There is a second. Any further discussion?
One other thing, it said providing an effective date would be effective immediately.
Upon my signature.
Okay.
All right. All in favor? It's unanimous, 4-0.
We will make that change. Thank y'all.
Thank you, council. Item 7C, discuss, consider, and act on a proposed interlocal agreement for police services between Tarrant County, or County of Tarrant, and the city of Haslett. This has been 6 months in the making. They did provide us a contract prior to October of last year. And in that contract, they were not making a distinction between patrol officers and traffic officers, because our budget, we brought on 2 extra officers to focus on traffic only. The problem was, or issue, not an issue or problem, it's just a manpower issue, is that the patrol officers were not available, but yet we were going to be invoiced for the full amount of all 4. And I called them up, brought that to their attention. They go, yes, that's a problem. Well, it's taken 6 months to go through their auditors and the sheriff's department and Tarrant County administration, and here we are. So this contract makes a distinct separation between the patrol officers, which we have fully staffed right now, and the traffic officers. When the traffic officers come on board, then we will start being invoiced for that manpower. But as it is, we do not have the traffic officers. We will receive them when they are available. They're like any other organization in the United States right now. They are looking for people that want to work. Nonetheless, if we would go to page down, do you have the calculations that were done? Okay. Our budget on financial impact. Our budget was $1,000,003. We have not, upon Tarrant County's recommendation, they stated though we would receive a monthly invoice was for the full amount, which was $108,000 a month for 4 folks. They recommended do not pay the invoice, and when we get the contract correct, we will just bill you for the arrears payment. And so the arrears payment is $497,000. That's for 6 months at 82,923 instead of 100 million, which was correct. When now we made the assumption for the next 6 months remaining in our budget year is that we would, because this would be worst case, we made the assumption that the traffic deputies would be available. That, and coupled with the patrol officers, would be 679,108. That would be a total for this budget year, this cycle, of 1,176,649, which is less than our fiscal year budget for policing. So there would be a savings, and that savings is just due now to, and because the contract will acknowledge that the manpower is not there to be assigned to the city of Hassett at this point. I do recommend that you approve this contract. It is ready to go to the county commissioners.
Mayor Holsey,
Yes.
just a clarification if possible. If I take the 498,000 based upon 4 officers, like you said, it's 82, or it's only like $27,000 per officer. Does this truly reflect that they had all 4 officers at
That's
that time?
two officers per shift,
So
24/7.
if I'm looking at the remaining payments and they do have all 4 officers, that's only an increase of about $20,000 per person.
That is, in the contract, it's not 24/7. That is an officer there's 2 shifts in a day. That'd be a 16-hour day, 5 days a week. Well, the patrol deputies are 24/7. Traffic officers are not 24/7. That's why you see that. I understand what you're saying.
It just looked a little off balance a little
That's
bit.
why.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
could you just, I kind of know the answer, but just to clarify, patrol officers and traffic officers, they can each do the same job, right? But these would be dedicated only for traffic only? The traffic officers? And do we not have any traffic officers at the moment?
Yes, we do. We don't have people that are designated as their specific duty is traffic officers. Our deputies do patrol. If you read the sheriff's report, you see the citations they do, right? So they do traffic patrol. So let me explain this. In the world of policing, traffic control is the lowest priority. If they're out there, which their fundamental duties out there, observing traffic, patrolling the neighborhoods, if they get a priority call, such as a domestic disturbance or a robbery or whatever the call may be, they must leave that and go to the higher priority call. Once that call is dismissed, then they will return back to that fundamental duty of patrolling, which includes traffic enforcement. So we asked this last budget year, okay, what we would like is 2 officers that's their primary duty, is traffic enforcement. That let the patrol officers respond to all those priority calls. But then we want 2 officers that actually it'd be 1 officer per shift, 16 hours a day, so two officers. That's their fundamental role. Now, for each shift during the day, we have 2 patrol officers, not 1. We have 2. If in this scenario here, when we have the 2 patrol officers and 1 traffic officer, should the two patrol officers get into a situation where they had to have backup, then yes, that traffic officer would pull off and go to their assistance. But also, I will say this, at any given point in time, in addition, the beauty of having this agreement with Tarrant County Sheriff's Office, at any point in time surrounding Haslett, Texas, there's probably about 15 other officers in and around in the immediate area of Tarrant County, around Haslett. They are doing county work. They have county obligations, but it's not uncommon that I've seen wrecks on 156, and there were 4 or 5 sheriff's vehicles out there within minutes. So we have dedicated officers that do not go outside of the city limits of Haslett, but there are many other officers outside the city limits that are working the Tarrant County jurisdiction, and they have different districts that they work in, but they respond quickly within Haslett as well. Does that answer the question? I took a long-winded approach. I apologize.
Mayor Holsey,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the proposed interlocal agreement for police services between County of Tarrant and the City of Haslett.
Motion is made to approve the interlocal agreement for police services between Tarrant County and the City of Haslett. Can you silence your phone? All right. Motion was made to approve the interlocal agreement for police services between Tarrant County and the City of Haslett. Is there a second?
Yes, Mayor, I'll second that.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous, 4-0. Motion passes. Thank you, council. 7D, discuss, consider, and act on a community facilities agreement between the City of Haslett and TM Sweetgrass LLC for the Sweetgrass Addition Phase 2. We, in prior discussions with regard to had things to do with street lights and things of those issues, this CFA, if you've read this CFA, is very specific. Streetlights will be installed prior to the issuance of a letter of acceptance by the City of Haslett. Also, the erosion control was very much expounded on. Those were the two significant changes in there. The developer's in full agreement with it, and I do recommend acceptance of it. Mr. Page, would you like to make any comment? Mr. Page was party to this document.
Yeah, so as we previously discussed, the facilities agreements are essentially a way to codify the language that's already found in the city subdivision ordinance so that the developer contractually agrees to comply with those terms. And so this is any changes we've made were to better include the terms that are already existing in our subdivision ordinance. So the changes made to the street lighting requirement actually better reflects what's already in our ordinance, as well as the erosion control, which was what our engineering team fixed and addressed in it.
Mayor Holsey, just a
Yes.
question. Then, since the ordinance you said is specific enough, this is more just clarifying it more towards the ordinance there's no reason for us to address the ordinance itself is what I'm asking.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions on the CFA? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mayor Holsey,
Yes.
I move that we approve the community facilities agreement between the City of Haslett and TM Sweetgrass LLC for the Sweetgrass Addition Phase 2.
Motion is made to approve the community facilities agreement between the City of Haslett and TM Sweetgrass LLC for the Sweetgrass Edition Phase 2. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? There is none. Okay. All in favor? It's 4-0. Unanimous. Motion passes. Thank you, council. 7E, discuss, consider, and act on a temporary closure of the Harmon Road entrance at Westport Parkway. Mr. Rogers, Mr. Tucker.
Mayor and council, this is something we've been discussing internally here for quite some time because, Harmon Road's been on our list of roads to rebuild, but funding has just been a problem, especially since there's only 2 people that actually physically are on the road. It's hard to spend money on it, but with the opening of the new L, we have a perfect way to get people around this area since we have only the two cattle owners down there that still use the road and need to be down there all the time. So what we're asking is if we can temporarily just block that entryway at Westport Parkway. We'll have some signage and stuff down at the Harmon Road, Hasta Parkway area. And this will be temporary until hopefully this next budget. I might be talking a little early, but hoping maybe we have some money to get an ILA with Tarrant County to come back in and fix that, which if it's closed, that's easier on them. They can work it into schedules easier because if they're not having to do traffic control, they'll come out here. They'll use that as a training for their new employees, what they usually do. Any place they have where they're totally closed off and not having to deal with that kind of traffic, they like to bring the new guys out, teach them how to operate the machines out there where they're not worried about cars whizzing by and running them down.
What I would like to point out is with the opening of Haslett Parkway, intersecting Harmon Road, okay, once you circle that area so everybody understands where that is, right there, is that what we have seen even today,
Mhm.
and has been a concern, is that folks are not going to stop. And they have been even this morning for occasions where they weren't stopping on Harmon Road, that they were just still going on through straight. And we are just cringing when the semi trucks start really rolling through there. Right now it's infrequent, but it won't take long. It'll be a very popular roadway. That something serious is going to happen. But something serious is already happening. Okay, let's just take for, directionally from Hassett Parkway going north on Harmon is those 2 90-degree turns. They're sharp turns. Habitually, probably 2 or 3 times a week. This is not an exaggeration. Cars end up going through the fences and letting livestock out. And the property owners are out there consistently putting up their fences again. Now, we have been out there, okay, well, what if we put up guardrails? What if we do this? Well, we could put some guardrails up there where they would kind of ride the guardrail around, and it's not going to slow them down. We have a lot of Indianapolis drivers out there. It's just that's the issue. Is that would be over $500,000 just to put the guardrails up on 2 corners. So really looking at this situation, the major property owner out here along Haslett Parkway is the city of Fort Worth. They do nothing with it. There is no one. Now we have the Spur Ranch out here. The road would remain open. The road is not closed. The entry from that road would be from Haslett Parkway onto Harmon and going north, and then turn around and exit the same way, the property owners. What this would do because there would be a large red sign at the intersection of Harmon Road and Westport or Haslett Parkway that says no outlet. They will discover quickly there's no sense going that way. But in fact, they're going to Westport Parkway, 90% of them. I'm sure there's some of them that may take a left and go to Old Town, but they're trying to get over to I-35. This Haslett Parkway is a beautiful project for those folks. It's just, a minute or 2 minutes, they're there on 170 or I-35. So, and they have a much more expedient, a lot of people would come off 35, exit Westport Parkway and take Harmon Road. They have a much more expedient route, Haslett Parkway or Harmon Road now. And it gets them off a road that is just in bad condition from one end to the other.
You also got to tell them, if you ever, Harmon Road, where it interfaces with Westport Parkway, has never, that was a failed intersection day one when they opened it. Because if you're at that intersection, you cannot see back to the west very far. Somebody coming around the curve. We've had issues there many times. So this has always been a problem road anyway. In this
That's up on the
entryway.
north end, Westport Parkway and Harmon Road. If you're traveling west or east on Haslett or Westport Parkway, you can't see anybody pulling out of that off Harmon Road onto Westport Parkway. This is just not a good situation. It will not impede or inconvenience anyone. It would possibly save someone's life. We ask that you approve this.
And that's why y'all approved the master thoroughfare plan that moves Harmon Road over to the other direction and closes that intersection in the future anyway.
If you recall that master thoroughfare plan, instead of improving this Haslett Park or Harmon Road as it is, we keep that because we have property owners out there. But it actually goes to the east, then connects with, what is that, Heritage Parkway in that alignment.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
question just on that, if you were talking about an ILA down the road, are you going to look at the road that way, or are you going to probably?
That's what I would consider. That's what we were talking about, is then you can do it as just a rural type little section, not some big heavy road. And eventually we put that new roadway in, and that just stays a little back road for just those guys to get in and out to basically deal with their cattle. And I guess for Fort Worth to come out every once in a while and look at all that land they bought that they're not doing anything with.
Now, the new alignment of I'll say new Harmon Road is that will be developer driven. As developers develop that property, they'll pay for that roadway.
I had a few questions. So you're saying I had until when, but you said maybe 6 months. There's not really a timeline of how long it'll be temporarily closed.
Oh, I would imagine it. I'm not even going to guess. It might be a year.
Okay. And then y'all already have a plan in place to contact the residents on that information?
Oh, yeah, we know them well.
Okay. And then there weren't any costs in the agenda report, the barrier cost, the no outlet signs. So what's the cost, and how often will they be checked to make sure people aren't moving them or driving around them or damaging them?
Generally, somebody from our department is through there pretty much every day, checking on, doing different things. And the barricades and all for this project, we're talking all the signage and everything, not but about $3,000 or $4,000 to do it all.
What will that come out of?
That would come out of contingency.
Contingency? You said 3,000 to 4,000?
Yeah, and it's mostly stuff that we will be always, it's barricades and stuff. That's stuff we use all the time. Temporary signage like that, that's stuff we use all the time. So it's nothing new for us to have some of that sort of stuff. We actually have a few of those pieces around.
But we would buy new barricades specific
we want
for
it to
this.
look nice, so we want to, put it out there. One, it'll be bright, everybody will see it.
I got a couple of questions. So when would this take effect?
probably as soon as we can get all the stuff rounded up, if you are interested in doing it.
If you'll give us the approval, probably within 3 weeks, it will be up.
Is there a possibility to put a temporary sign also, like I've seen before, where, okay, this road's going to be closed at this date, please take this
Mhm.
this other road to as a
Yeah, seek
as a
alternate
pass-through?
route.
Okay, so you
yes.
do have that type of sign that you could put up?
We can
get
have
that
it
taken
made.
care of. Yeah, we can get that done.
Thank you.
So, David, you mentioned, the one primary landowner, out there, he knows about this proposal here.
No, he doesn't.
No, we haven't
Right.
seen him. He's actually the person who has cattle on that one ranch. He's in California, so he's only here occasionally.
So there's no permanent
But I
residence.
believe me, I have his phone number. He has my phone number on speed dial. Every time somebody hits that fence and his horses are out, we are usually the first ones that get called about it.
Councilmember Horton, let me address something. If we were going to close the road, there's a very specific process that we have to go to in contacting every property owner. We're not closing the road. We are closing an entrance. The road is remaining open with an entrance on the south end. We're not required to contact the property owners.
So just to clarify, it's a temporary closure of the north entrance, but the south entrance will say no outlet and
Mhm.
please seek alternate route, but it won't be closed there.
Correct. And this is all in keeping with state statutes and transportation code.
Okay, I'll make a motion. I'm going to add the amount. Is that okay?
Yes.
Go
Um,
ahead.
I make a motion to approve the temporary closure of the Harmon Road entrance at Westport Parkway, not to exceed $4,000 to be budgeted out of contingency.
Motion is made to approve the temporary closure of Harmon Road entrance at Westport Parkway. Budget not to exceed $4,000 out of contingency. Is there a second?
Yes, Mayor, I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council.
Motion passes. The one everybody's been waiting for. 7F, discuss, consider, and act on discontinuing brush trash collection days. I put this on the agenda because there are some things that I see that I know I have to bring to you. Well, most everything, but this end being that this has to do with resource management, whether that be land, personnel, our funds, all our resources. And I know the council has, I have certainly, and have been given the address that we want with regard to the ball fields back there, and that I guess everyone seems to envision that's all going to be a sport type park of some form. But if we're going to keep that and do that, we need to maintain it. Thus far, it's been done on volunteer help, and things don't always work out. But we're going through and working up the budget for the city to take over full maintenance of the care and upkeep of the facilities in that area behind that fire station, but it goes all the way to Blue Mound Road. We recently just had the roadway through the ball fields constructed and the parking lot built. Have y'all been out there to see that? been in great use. I mean, I'm looking at it and, I need more parking lot too, just with the fields we got. But nonetheless, Tarrant County, you just approved an ILA. Oh, that'll be in 2 weeks. We'll have an ILA where Tarrant County will come in, and we told you about the chip seal. They are going to seal that road here in the very near future once we approve that ILA. The issue that I saw is we have a non-complementary uses out there. Is that we're trying to operate a dump site. Well, we just covered up in a ball field parking lot much of the area that's utilized. And so a decision to the council, what do? We got a fork in the road, so to say. And I'd like to invite Mr. Tucker up, our Public Works Director, to talk more about.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kind of as the Mayor had already touched on, this is a request to discontinue doing the brush and trash collection days that we do quarterly behind the fire station. That consists of 3 just brush and limb only collections and 1 that incorporates roll-off dumpsters and occasionally paper shredding, and we used to do hazardous chemicals as well. In the past few years, we've added some of those services through our trash service. So now Republic does bulk pickup, which includes brush and limb, and also they do it by request. They will pick up the hazardous chemicals as well. So this area behind the fire station has become less conducive for staging of materials, for us included. We used to stockpile lots of material back there for road projects or temporary for concrete when we pull out of sidewalks, and then of course for limbs, and we've just outgrown those sites. And as he touched on, in order to keep this looking like parkland, it just really doesn't have the space anymore to hold any materials like that. I said I'd be happy to go into more detail for any of the questions you might have.
I got a question. Have we looked at other areas where this maybe could take place somewhere else?
We don't currently have any other areas that would facilitate this kind of drop off.
Could the new 44 acres up by Public Works not be a viable? Why not? Currently, right now? Your mic's not on. What do you mean?
I'm sorry, it'd be transferring a problem to right now. The roadway access in and out, there would have to be some site preparation for this to be conducted. It's just not conducive to it. I think you need to ask yourself, do you want to operate a dump yard?
What do you mean by programming that has already been going on
We
in
are
that area?
programming as we've discussed in executive sessions.
Oh, okay. I guess do you have another question?
Yeah, I guess my question is, this bulk trash pickup is only once a month.
That's correct.
And we have people that live on 10-acre lots or bigger. And I know that when you do have brush pickup, it has to be, 4 foot or so.
Yeah, it
And
has
that
to be
could become difficult for these people that have huge amounts of property that have been doing this. Is there any other option that we can do
Well, here's what I do.
with the
I
city?
probably have as many or more trees than anybody else in Hugh White, and I collect it. And by choice, I go rent a mulcher, and I chip every bit of it. That's what I do. I don't haul it to the dump bay anymore. Also, I do have the choice, and I have used it, is once a month for large items, even for some limbs that I just don't, I get that mulcher maybe once a year, and I can cut them up, bundle them up, and set them out on the street side, and they get picked up. So that service is there and is picked up once a month. And one, it's You don't have to save it for a whole year.
Well, 4 times a year. But so I had a question about the schedule for 2023. The February 11th event was canceled. Why was that canceled, and is it going to be rescheduled?
So the ones that were canceled, they were canceled due to rain out events.
Okay.
And there was 2 canceled back to back, and it just pushed it out this far that was so close to the one coming up in May.
So we still have May 3rd, August 12th, November 11th, that we've already budgeted, because we as a council and budget workshops approved a little over 5,000 per, event. So it's already, and we already have it in the budget to use it this year. So are we talking about canceling it for the rest of the year and we're done?
That'd be the request, is to cancel it just moving forward from the,
And then that
From today.
22,000,
so the amount that was put in there covers the cost of the bulk chipping of the limbs. So we've tried a few different methods over the years. One of the issues is we get just enough that it's too laborsome to tie up all of Public Works to feed limbs for at least 2 weeks. Also, equipment is scarce, so it's hard to get a timing of good weather because you cannot chip wet or dense material like that that's saturated. So getting all those things coming together, of having a machine we can chip and manpower to dedicate to it. So in the past year, we've collected a large amount over a larger amount of time. What's back there now is 2 years worth.
I was going to ask, yeah, what's there
And
right
then
now?
That's the issue with that, is it costs around 10 grand. That fluctuates, but that's to do a minimum amount. Well, we never have more than basically the minimum. So if we have it chipped too regularly, we waste money we don't really have enough to justify the giant machines. And if we wait too long, then we are stockpiling that material for 3 or 4 years. So
So yeah, because it's 15,000 is what's allotted for the brush grinding company. And so we just haven't, for 2 years, it hasn't been.
Steven, do you have a
Scheduled?
picture?
I drove down this weekend just to check it out, and it looked like there was the parking lot's great, but the whole right side looked like a lot of room. Yeah, that's exactly what.
And so
But it was
So why hasn't
nicely,
that
it was
been-
nicely mowed beside, other than that pile of limbs out
Right. So
there.
why hasn't this been, since we have the dumpster or the brush grinding company expenses, why haven't they been done?
The reason being is it's a minimum charge of $10,000 for them to come out and do this.
And we have 15,000 budgeted.
Okay, well, it's not a matter of money. None of this is a
Oh, so
matter
it's
of
not a
money.
matter of budget. at
It's
all.
not, the conversation is not a matter of budget.
Okay. Just
This
wanna clarify
conversation
that.
is operating a dump yard.
Limbs.
Okay,
I don't know if
well,
I'd call that
there's
a dump.
also, there's been other old vehicles anyway. Nonetheless, let's just look at the limbs. $10,000 minimum charge to come out. Well, they will do for $10,000, they'll do a size like this, 10 times this for $10,000. So instead of paying 10 times more than what it should be to have it mulched, they've been saving it.
Waiting until there's more to
Right.
justify that
But
cost.
it would
Okay.
take them 4 or 5 years of saving this to bring these people in and mulch it up
Okay, well, I
to make it
am-
worthwhile.
Okay, I'm with Mr. Nahara. I just send out a little, notification saying, let me know what you think about this. And I have received over 30 emails from residents that say that they use this, that they live on larger lots. I feel like the long-term citizens are the ones that are being penalized because they have the more mature trees. I did receive 3 saying that it's not something that they feel they use or we should continue. But these are from North Glen, Brentwood Stair, and then there was one from Hugh White. So they are some of the newer subdivisions. So listening to the citizens of what I've received, I feel this is a service that people use all the time. And the fact that the quote is, this offering has grown, that's kind of a reason why we should continue to offer it, because it's something that where people are still using.
And what this council has got to figure out, how do we grow it and where? I mean, it's not an easy question, because what's left, the property out there, unless you want to get into those areas near Blue Mound Road, which are the better parts of the land that we have behind that fire station, and start running that collection area over there. What's left between the new ball field parking lots and the asphalt parking lot, built months ago for the fire station, that property there is all in the floodplain. And that would have to be graded out, new drives put in for something like this to happen. So it's not ready. It could, I mean, we can make it ready, but the council needs to understand it's growing, and that in itself is a problem.
Yeah.
So we have, what do you want to use that land back there for? This is really the question.
I got some comments too, and a question as well. Just kind of wondering how other cities handle this. Could we add some more collection days in the springtime and the fall, maybe like twice a month, instead of just getting rid of this altogether? And if it's in the budget already and we're not going to use that, then we should be able to pay for at least, extra
Mayor.
collection days, bulk collection days
Well, we'll
in the
say
spring and fall.
out of the 4 quarterly events, 3 of them are not very well used. I mean, we usually see 2 to 3 people, and they may make several loads, but we don't see a lot. There's several times that we have people there and nobody shows up. It's the single collection event that we get the most amount of people. And with that one, like I said, we incorporate somewhere between 6 and 10 dumpsters, depending on what Republic will allot us. And we're always at capacity, and sometimes well before noon. So we're kind of at the point where, as the population grows, we would have to either drastically increase how we take in all this material and how to store it, or possibly discontinuing it. Looking at Fort Worth, they have their collection sites, and we did reach out to them to see if any kind of ILA agreement was possible. We haven't received any good response there, but they do, on their website, they direct people to places like Silver Creek Materials. They're near Lake Worth, and they take large amounts of brush, typically for a charge. And so that's always an option. Places like Living Earth sometimes will, depending on the quality of it. And then, of course, shipping it, or paying a haul-off service for it.
Now, let me say, we haven't received a good response. Well, I say I'm the one that called and talked to them. Is that I talked to the director of their waste management, and I asked very specifically, does Fort Worth, is there a way, can Haslett enter into an ILA with Fort Worth for bulk drop-off that's just south of Haslett, near 287 and Bonds Ranch Road? And what he said was, well, we have not thought of doing that. We do not offer that ILA, interlocal agreement, to any city. Not to say that we can't. He said that he would bring it up to his administration. So we haven't got any bad news.
Yeah, well, I had
We
reached out
just
to
didn't
those.
get a sure, okay,
Sure.
is what we didn't get. So, yeah, we haven't got any bad news. And Fort Worth, the director of their waste management, said he would take that to their administration, and that would be for us to follow up. I will say right now, so I'm hearing you would like to, I've been using this thing for 34 years. So, and I understand. And what I also understand, it is growing into something that now or next year or the year after, you've got something that we can't handle anymore. That takes a realistic look. That's why I said this is a resource management issue with property, manpower, and funds.
You said
So-
only once. Is it largely attended, you said? Only one
Correct.
time? So it's not something that.
The other 3 quarters, not very many people at all attend.
One suggestion that someone emailed me is you have it semi-annually, twice a year, so that was an option. I also had a question. I'm going to ask this, even though I think I know the answer. Someone asked, doesn't the fire department burn and sometimes use for training purposes? When did that stop? The answer is no, correct?
Years ago, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're in an attainment district, so burning like that is
Okay, I'm
not.
going to relay that. That was one of their questions. Other people did say that when residents do cut up and tie it for brush, it could be a hazard in their own backyard or a fire issue. And then someone And this was mentioned actually at another meeting I attended. Someone mentioned that
Well,
they,
wait a minute, let me go back up.
Yeah.
It would be a hazard? Would it be a hazard loading it on their trailer?
it says nuisance or fire hazard in their backyards, what they
What's a
said.
fire hazard?
Them doing their own trees and brushing, I guess, bundling it up. Not sure.
I mean, will they have to do it if they're gonna haul it down to the
They probably
dump?
put it on a trailer. I mean, that's what we do. We put it on our trailer.
But they
um,
gotta cut it up somehow.
One person said that Allied Waste has not done a great job of hauling off what they accumulate currently. So that was one of their concerns. So anyway,
We, as a point of record, that we have Republic Services, not Allied.
Mayor Holsey,
Yes.
I just have one question. And again, I think Councilman Hector brought it up on the aspect of what other cities are doing. Because again, I came in over here from the mid-cities area where you had a lot of, I'm sorry, I came here from mid-cities area where there's a lot more trees, a lot more land, Colleyville, a lot of horse properties with a lot of things. And if I remember correctly, you had to bundle it up and actually give it to the people on a monthly basis. They had no bulk unless you took it to one of these other services. So I sort of see the aspect of as we grow, like you're saying, Mayor Halsey, you're going to get to a point on that one day, we can't take all the residents of Sweetwater or Sweetgrass, sorry, and Caraway and North Glen and everyone and not have the places to go. And we do have Republic Services that do like what Colleyville does and actually takes it away for you. So I guess that's the concern I have is as we're growing, I do believe we're going to have to face this, that it's going to go away. You know, just because we wouldn't be able to even have that once per year, especially I think I saw one of your comments on one of yours, Tanya, from the next order. One of the people that comment on there that actually, I think you commented back on the hazardous waste, that it did, we do pick up the hazardous waste through Republic. So
that's another thing. Well, that might not be for this conversation, but I did look at our water bill and our calendar, and there's nothing about, we've had the hazardous waste or e-waste pickup since 2020, and it's not very well advertised. The same with the bulk trash on our water bill. It says it's the first month of first Wednesday of the month, have it out by 7. Doesn't say, I mean, you'd have to know to go to resources to find it so we could
Give us
do
a suggestion
we could
how,
do a better job of
and we need to
of-
better advertise that.
I think that it should be in the water bill or the calendar. Definitely the porch pickup program, because that's a great program I've used multiple times, and people just put it on their porch and click a little link. So I do think they need more information, education for our citizens.
We'll write something and put it together. That's a good idea. And we can put that on Newsflash. If people use Newsflash, it's there. And also we can include it in the water bill. The thing about the water bill, a lot of people don't read that water bill anymore. But that's our effort. We can put it in that water bill. We can put it on Newsflash and put it on as a featured article on the website. Ms. Montgomery, if you'd make note of those 3 actions that we can do to advertise this. So it sounds like to me, council, and I understand we're hesitant to do this right now. I mean, you're going to be faced with it. You're faced with it now, but more so next year and really more so the year after. But you're hesitant to say, let's just cut this thing off right now. Here's our situation right now. Where we have been using the area for the last many years is not usable anymore. Now we have to prepare another area to do that. So, Mr. Tucker, Mr. Rogers, do you have a proposed area where we would do that, and how long would it take you to prep an area to have this one large annual event that we regularly have?
So I don't currently have a location in mind that would fit that need, David.
Okay, I'd love to hear that, yes.
Sure. The only 2 I know exactly what they do, because I know the people that work there. City of Saginaw, they do exactly the same thing. Bulk pickup once a month out at the curb, 4 foot long, no more than 50 pounds. That's all they do. Keller does the same thing. They have the same exact thing as we have. Nothing any different. They do the same thing. The only thing that anybody ever does different that these two cities do in the event of a storm or something comes through and they have a lot of downed trees, a lot of brush, a lot of trash, things blown around, they do something special then. They get their waste company in, bring in stuff like that. They set these things down in the middle of the street, get it all picked up as fast as possible, cleaned up, and they build the city sometime down the road, or sometimes I think they get away with not having to pay very much of anything for it, but they do it. That's the only thing I know that they do. Other than that, they follow the same thing, cut it up in 4 foot pieces, sit it out every month. And they don't have any limit on how many. You could have, I don't know, I guess one bundle up to 10, 15. I don't know. I don't think they care. They don't say, nobody says anything about how many, just that it's that size.
Yeah, and Mayor, I mean, just a question on it, obviously a lot of the same comments going around. I had two people, either email or text about, trying to keep the brush pickup because it's used. And I will say, yes, they're from additions that are, either Hewlett, Brentwood, or just the park, and the older establishments. I've used the drop-off, I've used the limit, I've used it every quarter, and I think given the citizens have at least one pickup a year even, to where it's not just brush, but where, we give them options for, the hazardous chemicals and all this, at a drop off where we could bring in, coordinate with Republic to get, the roll off and whatnot brought in. I would encourage, the mayor really to push, the city of Fort Worth, because I've used city of Fort Worth drop off over there a number of times. And it's just a very organized.
Let me ask you,
facility.
how were you able to do that?
That's confidential information.
I-
You can't,
I
you can't only
understand.
use a trailer with a
Okay.
single axle. I
Very-
will tell you
very-
that.
But it is very nice.
It is very nice and it's very well organized. They take hazardous chemicals, bicycles, refrigerators, anything in a house you can take over there.
All right, council, let me say this, is that Public Works, all of us are going to have to go out and just put on our thinking caps. Where can we even hold this if we have to have, I'm going on the premise, if you tell us to use that ball field parking lot that we just built for this event, we'll do it. But we're going to have to rebuild it again. I mean, we're going to have to bring in the grader, level it out, and get it ready for Tarrant County to come in and put chip seal down. Just to understand that. I mean, we'll do it. But really, that currently is the only option we have to conduct this thing coming up in May.
Mayor Holsey.
Yes.
I guess I'm sort of concerned here too, because we have the bulk collection regulations, what's shown in front of us and everything here. I guess is the concern, the biggest portion is the brush, because is it the brush that's sitting out the ballpark?
Council, your feedback that you've got, is that
Yes.
it's the big
Yes.
limbs?
That's the big
limbs.
limbs. I didn't get much about anything else but the brush.
That seems to be the issue. Okay.
And they like the shredder. I had quite a few people, well, 3 or 4 people say they really use the mobile shredder when it comes.
I mean, the mobile shredder is the least, that's a single truck and it's
Yeah, we
usually,
can pull that anywhere.
it's about $600.
So it's really the big limbs, big brush, all that stuff that you just throw on the trailer and need somewhere to dump it off. So you don't need to have to bundle it.
And sometimes we do suspect we get imports from other cities. I mean, just sometimes the sheer volume of what we take in seems.
We do know that's happening.
We do.
So I interrupted. Please go ahead. So
I-
it sounds like it's brush. Primarily the thing is brush and trees.
And to me, it would be basically the big limbs and that type of thing that's hard to cut down to like a chainsaw, having to have a chainsaw and cut it into 4-foot sections. It's really the small limbs is pretty simple. You know, even when I was in Keller, when we had to survive through a tornado come through there that took down 2 of my trees, I was able to take most of the small stuff down, and it was the bigger stuff that was the harder thing to take down.
Well, if you can't cut it up, how are you going to put it on a trailer?
Well, again, I see people may cut it up, somewhat. And I can also say too that I'm sure the Republic's the same way as it was over there, that if it was happened to be 5 feet or 6 feet, they didn't care. They would still take it as long as it was cut down to some piece.
They
But
try within reason. The bulk pickup amounts are kind of subjective, and it's hard to get them an exact, like it says, it needs to be able to be loaded by a person. So like on that, if you put out a cast iron tub for a bulk pickup, they're not going to be able to take that. But they tried to take as many things in that criteria as possible. And we've reached out to them just on a few other issues, but they're supposed to red tag things that aren't picked up. So you'll know that if it was placed out there and they didn't pick it up, that it was not picked up because it did not meet that criteria.
And I just wanted to bring up another thing also too. We're getting ready, and Mayor Halsey, you were very helped us out quite a bit last year too with our church does their what they call serve day. And that's some of the stuff that they do on their serve day is help people out to actually clean up their property if it need be or something like that too. I know that one thing that we look at from our church is we don't get enough projects. We have 400 people that want to serve and we don't get
Yeah.
enough projects on things. So I think there's other ways we could look at this to help out the city of Hazlet also too.
But we're looking at what the city does, what the city offers. And that question is the what do we want to do? And more very specifically, we got it, I think, scheduled for May. Right now, we don't have somewhere to use for May unless you tell us to use our new parking lot.
And since February 11th was canceled, some people have, I'm sure, I would assume.
Well,
that
I'm just,
they have-
do you understand what
Right,
I'm
saying,
asking?
well, I'm saying that since February didn't happen, May might have even more because they weren't able to dump it in February.
Yeah.
That's even another question though too, is May, you're going to be competing with the baseball fields themselves because
Yes.
baseball season is going on.
Well, we'll just have to notify the baseball folks that their baseball's canceled.
We had never canceled it before. They just come and go to their game while we're doing it.
That's not a very good thing. But, because they all have to share the same road.
They're usually pretty civil about it.
But I'm just saying that's not anything by choice we'd want to do. But I understand it goes on. So, is that our one option other than if we use that lowland between the two parking lots, we'd have to prep that whole area? Well, one is in the floodplain. We can't put anything in there.
Yeah, the area between the two parking lots, you cannot stockpile material.
So nothing can go there. That area is off. So what's available now, I'm talking about, okay, well, let me ask you this. Do we accommodate just vegetation, the tree limbs, the brush, and do away with the dumpsters?
I mean,
And you use, your appliances can be picked up, your construction materials, if you got to go to the dump somewhere, then so be it. I understand. I've had to do that. I'm not, proposing anything to anybody that I haven't had to do.
Hey, could I ask Stephen, can you pull the picture back up of the brush pile? So curious because as stated earlier, this is a 2-year accumulation.
that's correct. That's 8 events, roughly.
So if you slice that into 8, I mean, could you get a roll-off dumpster for the brush?
It would take way more than 10, 15 dumpsters or more. Like it would take a lot of dumpsters to try to just stack that directly in there.
The more expedient process is just collect it and have it chipped. Trying to
I
put
get that, but I'm thinking, I mean, okay, if we do it with all the other, plants or drop off, if you got 2 or 3 dumpsters, I'm thinking this pile, I drove back there and did look at it to see personally what it looked like. But I mean, okay, if this is 2 years, I can't see that that's going to fill up 5 or 6 dumpsters if for a single collection event.
On the single collection, all those limbs are gonna have they're gonna have leaves and stuff on them, so it's just the mass is bigger. This is decayed a little bit and shrunk down, and dead limbs we can stack a bunch more. But traditionally, it's taken a lot more dumpsters than you would think. There's 6 to 10 on piles like this. We would even mulch and throw in there. Of course, the trunks have to just be put in there. Like the best and the quickest method, or the most efficient method we've ever seen and most cost effective, was to collect a huge pile for a lot of years and then have a grinding service come out. They grind it on site, haul it off same day. It's just stockpiling and storing it for an extended amount of time.
Let me ask the council this. Would you be willing to fund something like that? I mean, as soon as we get it, it's over with, we call these people in. Come here and chip it up and haul it off.
That's what we already are budgeted. So
No,
that's-
you would need to budget over $10,000 each time.
Instead of the 22,500 for 4 times, you're saying we would do it,
Or, okay,
do it
then
all 4
have one
times.
event and put all the 22,000 towards
Because
it.
you could do 2 events and have the 10,000, and that would be what we're already budgeting, and it'd be semi-annual.
Do you know if that would work, Mr. Tucker?
We could have them come out now.
Now, we're talking
They-
brush only, correct?
Yeah, if we collected brush only, they would come out for almost any volume. We're just thinking it's a bad use of that kind of money to chip such a small amount. It's just enough to be too much for people really to sit there and feed it through chippers, which that is traditionally what we would do. But it's not enough to justify them to come out. When they come out, they usually expect to do acres. When they look, they're like, that took them, I think, 2.5 hours the last time, and the pile was at least 5 times this size. So I feel like it has slowed down in general, our collection events. We still get a good amount. We usually get 3 and 4 loads from sometimes the same people. And a lot of times it's like the initial cleaning of a property, expansion, of what they've done. And then ultimately, I think that should be slowing down. And we've never limited volumes. We could look at that. We could, allow 1 trailer load per person to try to start limiting those. Those are just options. And one other thing we hadn't really discussed is we've had issues with keeping piles like this because they do attract squirrels and rats, and occasionally things like raccoons. They'll breed inside those. So that's another concern, that you're just stockpiling that for years.
Now, I can understand the concern about, leaving that out. Having land, anytime you accumulate something like this, 2 years, you're going to get some unwanted circumstances. So I think, whatever we come up with, I really think it should be, if you have a drop off of some sort, whatever the timing may be, it all needs to be disposed of within the week, I would say. So if you drop it off and it's gone.
Let me ask the council this. Would you entertain, from what I'm hearing in the feedback that y'all have evidently received, it is the brush and tree limbs and things like that. So if we have this event, we don't supply any dumpsters. Because I mean, those things tear up a lot of things wherever you put them, and that's a high traffic area. But if we we receive the brush and the vegetation only, and we can put it right here, but we would immediately, after the event, call that chipping company up. You come out here and chip this and haul it off. Understanding that each event like that we would hold would be 10 grand plus. And when's the last time you verified that number with those folks?
It's been at least 2 years, and I'm sure they will do it for that amount, but they would be hesitant to want to charge you that amount, and they won't do it for less because they usually bring.
Well,
you know,
yeah, they're going to have
excavators
their
out.
minimum. I mean, those are big machines they bring out. That's
Yeah.
why I can do it so quickly. And so Would you entertain something like that?
I mean, I would. I think that keeps the service for our residents. I'd still, well, yes, and we are saving a little bit of money by not getting the dumpster and brush equipment rental, so
But
that,
I know this is not an easy question. I knew this would be a difficult question. This is a cultural thing. It is. I'm telling you, it is. We don't change easy. None of us do.
Just want to question, I know we're in the discussion phase. We're going to open this up for public comment.
Right now, the council is having discussion.
That's what I
I think
understand.
there are some requests that have been sent. At least I saw a few that the city secretary has. And if anybody in the public wants to comment, I will. But after the
Okay.
council is done.
No, I understand. I just
Okay.
noticed we don't have public comment on any of the bullet points anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, this, just doing the brush alone is just a temporary fix. I think we're still going to have a long-term issue with this. But I don't want to take it away right away. I think we can find a better solution. Either find an agreement with the city, maybe we can drop off in Saginaw and pay them to take care of it. I don't know if they'd be willing to do that. What's the difference in
Or even
Saginaw
the city
or
of
Fort Worth?
Justin. There are, there are other services out there, but I just needed to notify you, we have an immediate problem.
No, I agree. I don't think we should cover up the new pavement thing that we've got there to put brush on it. I don't think we should do that, but I also don't think that we should just take the service away right away this quick. Either come up with a solution in the short term for it and also one in the long term. So
Okay,
I don't
well,
know if we can do both tonight or what it is
I
we
would
need to
offer
do.
up this, is that we do brush and trees only. We received that. There would be no dumpsters.
Would we go down to just twice per year then?
You know what? Can we take it 6 months at a time?
that's kind of, I was thinking, we do the May 3rd and see what the cost is, and then see how cost effective it is to do.
I mean, that's
Or
kind of what I
separate.
was thinking is you have, I mean, the spring and fall type thing instead of quarterly. I mean, everybody gets out and cleans up in the spring and then late in the fall type thing. Something along those lines. I think you could, possibly cut it back. If we go this direction, like I said, okay, there's a cost to doing what being talked about with the chipping service.
So understand,
So-
we'll use not the left side if you're
Yeah.
driving down the ball field, not the left side anymore. We'll use this area over here where these limbs are.
Even do you have an aerial that could highlight there?
What I was also curious about, we talked about the marketing aspect, notifying a resident. That's always been a challenge with the city for 20 some odd years. I mean, is it possible if you go back, because I know we had something pulled up with the pickup Republic, what picked up, all that. Is it possible to do just the actual mailing instead of website and water bills, where we send something out, just like a notification for
Are you talking about a mailing separate from the water bill?
Yes.
Because all the water bills do get mailed.
Well, how many water bills are, okay, it's separate topic, but how many water bills are paid electronically online?
A lot of them.
Yeah, that's what, see, that's
That's
my
why they
point.
don't open them up and
Nobody
read them.
opens them up. Hey, I'm here. I don't open mine up very often.
But
So-
I want to encourage everybody to open it up. There's some good information in those water bills. You get the Haslet Happenings newsletter once a month. There's good stuff in there. So we could let us work up a budget. How much would be a mass mailing? Very specific to that. And we can bring it to the next council meeting and you can approve that budget for that mass mailing, okay?
Yeah, that'd be good. Appreciate it.
Good. All right. Ms. Montgomery, if you take that down. Well, so we'll do our efforts on the water bill, the website and news flash and the mass mailings. I'll bring you the budget for that next week or next meeting. All right then. So, can I have a motion just to Re- re- Oh, say it again? Oh, I had not said, do you have a speakers list?
I have 4 emails that were sent to me to read, and then I have had 7 people sign up tonight.
Okay, great. Why don't we go ahead and start with those who have signed up tonight?
Okay.
And as you come up, if you'll state your name and your address, please.
Okay, those that have signed up at the meeting tonight, first one's Ruthie Dew.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to say that I have been living here in Haslett for 20 years, and this is only the second time that I have ever had an item on the agenda that I felt like I really felt strongly enough about to come and give my opinion on. So it really means a lot to me. The $10,000 per chipper event. I know $10,000 sounds like a big number, and for us individually, it is. But when you look at the fact that we spent $500,000 on a pickleball court that doesn't do anything for me or most of the citizens who are elderly or physically impaired that would use this drop-off thing. So I want you to think about that it's not a huge amount of money in the big scheme of things. Secondly, behind the fire station is not the only place that the city owns that could be used for this service. There are other spots of city-owned property that could be available. I guess with that, I just respectfully asked that you, if you vote on this tonight, vote the way the citizens would vote if they were all here. Thank you.
Larry Dew.
And please state your name and your address.
My name is Larry Dew. I live at 128 Schreiber Drive. Been there for 21 years. And I have used the brush service and the dumpster service many, many times. The brush service is important because I lost a big tree this year and there's no way I can carry all those logs out to the driveway, put them on the street, and get them picked up. It isn't feasible. I have a trailer. I put the brush on it, take it over. The February 11th, very disappointing. I showed up ready to dump off some brush. There was nothing there. I got no notification about it. Had to go back and do the research. And that's just shameful. And to say that February 11th was only a brush drop off. So there wasn't going to be all this dumpsters and whatnot. We used to have the brush chipped up while we were dropping it off. Why don't we do that anymore? This is an excuse to do the citizens harm that need a place to throw this stuff. And I'm not talking about hazardous materials every quarter. I'm talking about the brush that accumulates twice a year, spring and fall. We need a place that we can all take it safely and dispose of it properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dew. That brings up the question, have we run it in the past where it's actually being chipped at the same time it's being dropped off?
We have in the past. A few
Oh, that
times.
was using city employees.
Yeah, we've tried several different methods. That was one method, is we'd rent a chipper on site and we try to feed it as fast as it came in. And truly, it made no real differences. At a certain point, we've outgrown the quantity of things getting dropped off and shipping. It wasn't beneficial to try to keep up that way. Just getting it off the trucks and manage the pile and manage the people coming in, because we back people up all the way down 156.
Understood. Thank you. Our next speaker,
Paul Nelson.
Mr. Nelson.
Paul Nelson, 2218 Virginia Lane, right next to the Taj Mahal. According to your executive summary, we only have one where they have the dumpsters in May. I think that's the only one we have. It says they have a semi-annual brush and trash. I don't think we only have one, but we have 4 times for the trash. And they're saying that the roadway and the parking lot, less room is available for this event. And because of the ball games, well, we don't have to have it in May when they playing ball. I mean, we can have it in some other month. And last year we used the parking lot that was what was there was for the dumpsters. And it also says in this executive summary that they're having a hard time of getting rid of the stuff that we collect. But the dumpsters are hauled away, and the only thing that's left is the brush that I see. I drove by there tonight. But I don't know why that brush pile has been allowed to get so big. I mean, was there no plans to get rid of it? We're just gonna, seems like we should have been planning ahead for this before. I mean, the city of Fort Worth grinds theirs up, and of course their taxes are a lot more than ours. But can't we grind it up and give away the mulch to the residents of the city? I mean, we can buy a grinder that'll do a 12-inch log. We can buy a grinder for $131,000. Now that's a lot of money, but I mean, it's possible. But I mean, I use the service. I've lived here 35 years, and they stopped it in 15 because they couldn't burn it anymore. And then they restarted it, I think, when, I don't know, it was Mayor Golden or who it was, restarted it because we was having such an accumulation. People just piled it up on their property and left it there for the rats to hide in. So we really do need it. I mean, maybe just once a year, maybe at least, because otherwise it's just going to pile up. Thank you.
Understood. The reason it's piled out there now is it just they were accumulating it to bring in a company to do a larger pile. But again, what I'm hearing from the council, we can just do it every event. Just get it done. Our next speaker.
Joette King.
Joette Keene, 1410 Poppy Drive. First, I want to say thank you very much for bringing controversial topics to the citizens so that you get input to make really important decisions. And I think that's not always easy to do because it can be, difficult for people. We saw a lot on social media, and I think this is important discussion. And I really like what I heard all of you as council members speaking to with good ideas. And that's really important in our society today, I think, to bring different ideas to the forefront. When I first saw this, I live in the meadow. I don't have huge trees. When we had that huge frost, my husband had a lot of debris, like probably 50 brush things to pull out of our yard, palm trees to cut down. So he had a lot of work to do. Not certainly what people who have acres with a lot of trees had to do, but it is work, and I appreciate that. And I do have empathy for the people who have large properties and have to maintain it. I want to be clear about that. I do think we all have to accept our responsibility as property owners for what it takes to maintain our property, and that's important, whether it be paying someone to do the work, because I'm 70 years old. My husband's 70 years old. It gets hard. We just paid somebody to do work in our property because it's too much for us. So I know everyone doesn't have that option, but it is something to consider when you have a property, what it's going to cost you to maintain it. So that's one point. We all pay for our bulk pickup with our trash bills. So take advantage. If you don't have a lot to do, take advantage of that. Maybe routinely clean things up is my thought. But listening to all the discussion, I think my biggest concern was the image of Hazlet and having that brush, which you can see from 156 accumulate and get bigger. I mean, I see that when I come out of my neighborhood. People driving past that are thinking about, do I want to buy in this? Do I want to buy in Bell Grand? Do I want to buy in the Meadow? Do I want to buy in Ashmore Farms? They look at what they see along that road, and is it attractive? Is it appealing? Does Hazlet have the image that we want it to have? And I think accumulating lots of branches and debris or other things doesn't make Hazlet look attractive. It also was a concern to me, and even listening to, I think, Mr. Horick talk about, rats. Think about it. We have kids in a parking lot now getting out of cars with raccoons or rats or whatever you might have that might choose to live in a brush pile. Is that something we want our kids to be exposed to? You have rabies, you have things that aren't good, and we need to maintain a safe and attractive environment for Hazlet. And that's my concern. So if there's an alternative to dispose of this more promptly and not have that accumulate, then I think that would be a really good compromise for the people who need to use this service and for the people who don't need to use it but want to have a good image of Hazlet. And that's kind of the point I'd like to make for you to consider as you decide how to move this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker,
Patricia Hilborn.
Ms. Hilborn.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. I also want to compliment you all on your thoughtful discussion about this. I appreciate it. So my family depends on the quarterly pickup, and we are still having trees die from the 2021 freeze because sometimes you don't know your trees are dying. And I have some 30-year trees, and someone asked online, well, what difference does a 30-year matter? Well, that I'm saying those are mature trees, and the limbs that fall down are my size. So even the act of making it smaller is hard. And we are able to get it up on our trailer. And if we know we have a dumpster day, we call it, but really it's a brush day. That's all we take down there is brush and limbs. Then we'll go ahead and put it on our trailer. Otherwise, we stack it up under some of our other trees. So it's not visible. It's not junky. Doesn't look trashy. I agree that it shouldn't be allowed to accumulate. I always thought that they shredded it immediately, or shredding is the wrong word, chipped it immediately, and it was gone. I didn't realize we were accumulating it for years. I would have spoke up, and I too don't think that's a good idea for various reasons. We're conscientious citizens who value a city service. We want to see it continued. You're in the middle of a budget year where you budgeted to do this service. Tonight is not the night to cancel it in the middle of your budget year. I think you need to get a solution before you make a change. And yes, you made some good points that perhaps we need to rethink where we're doing it. But let's don't cancel it here in the middle of this year when your citizens, your long-standing citizens in the oldest subdivisions in town were not able to bring in our brush a couple of months ago. And now we're getting into a new season of bad weather where we're going to have more trees down, more limbs down. If you have a pretty tree that requires maintenance, you can't just let a broken limb hang on it. You have to take care of it. That's how you have 30-year-old trees, especially in Hazlet where you have 6 inches of dirt and then rock. So I would ask that you not take any action to change the rest of this budget year. Maybe by the time you have your budget discussions, you'll have our public works guys and gals who work so diligently will have come up with a solution, and it can be worked out in the next budget. But right now we have projects that are scheduled. We have folks who are relying on this, and I think we need to keep doing it, please.
Thank you. Next speaker,
Bernard Flaghorn.
Thank you, Council and Mayor. Bernard Cleghorn, 2214 White Lane. I was, when I heard about the subject for tonight, I was afraid that maybe it was too late, that y'all had already decided, and I'm glad that you haven't. It seems like to me that y'all been passing around some good ideas up here that are worth looking into and maybe improve what we've got now. There's a lot of homeowners like me probably in Hazlet because it seems like there's a lot of larger lots. And as a result, there's a lot of trees on those lots. And it doesn't take much, especially after a winter with the freeze and everything with broken limbs and things, that you get quite a bit of limbs and brush that you need to do something with. And this has really been good. I've lived at this address for 9 years, and there hasn't been a year go by that I haven't taken advantage of this service. I don't have any kids playing baseball, playing tennis. A lot of the things that the city provides, but this brush and limbs, I do take advantage of that. And I'd like to see y'all continue with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have another speaker?
Yes, sir. Marsha Rollinson.
Marsha Rollison, 212 Bain Road. I'm speaking mainly to support my friends and neighbors who utilize the quarterly brush days. Before my husband passed away, we always took advantage of these. Now I can't do that physically. I can't do that. But most of us in Hugh White have 4 to 5 acre lots. We're one of the oldest developments in Hazlet. We have scrub trees, trees and shrubs that have matured. Some have died, some blown down by the wind. Many residents have stock tanks, and with stock tanks, you get willow trees. These trees grow wonky. They grow all sorts of directions. They're weak trees. They fall down even with a whiff of wind sometimes. And the branches and trunks of some of these be anywhere from 6 inches to a foot in diameter. The same with the mature and dying red tips. Some people have indicated that we can easily cut these into smaller pieces and bundle them and put them at the curb. That's nearly impossible with some of these larger limbs. So just because some of the residents in newer developments with much smaller lots don't feel the need for this service doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Those of us in Hugh White need some sort of service like this. And I appreciate the discussion tonight because it sounds like you are really working to come to a solution and not just leave us in a lurch. So I do appreciate that greatly. And I hope that you will continue to understand the needs of all of the citizens in Hazlet. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, and I just want to make that's what's supposed to happen up here. I mean, this is the legislative body for the city of Hazlet, and these issues we have to bring to them. They have to deliberate these things and talk to them, and this whole process of each one of these council people, they got their fingers out in the community, receiving your input on these topics as they come in. I mean, that's what it is all about. So, very good, very good. Do we have another speaker?
That is all the speakers. I do have 4 emails that were requested that I read those.
Very good.
First one from Patricia Parker, 219 Broadmoor Drive. To Mayor Holsey and City Council, I agree with the act on discontinuing the trash bulk collection days. I understand that this has been going on for 30 years, but we are not a little town of Hazlet anymore. We have grown from 2 to 3 subdivisions to 10 with another 2 more subdivisions coming in the current year. With the new parking lot at the ball fields and the new roadway, we are just out of room. There are still large amounts of brush and trees accumulating from prior years that haven't been cleared. So why would we want to keep adding to it? The city contracts with Republic Services for weekly trash pickup and once a month bulk trash pickup. I have contacted Republic Services and was informed that on the bulk trash pickup days that we are allowed to put trash up to the size of a Volkswagen Bug. So why not use the service? Also in my subdivision, there are families with children that play baseball, but they take their children to other cities to play. And one of the contributing factors in their decision was that the baseball fields was just a mess. It is not a desirable place to play ball. I urge you to discontinue the bulk trash collection days. Thank you for your time and consideration. Next one is Al Burton at 303 Cactus Drive, Haslett, Texas. I would like to register my opposition to the city eliminating bulk trash days to its citizens. Many citizens do not have trucks to haul bulk trash away from their property and rely on using this service to keep their lots presentable. Next one, Kathy Brandon, 213 Bain Road. Dear Mayor and Council members, I am in favor of approving item 7F on the agenda this evening and ask that you vote yes to eliminate brush collection behind the fire station. The parking area next to the ball fields is needed and used for parking by the parents, grandparents, and officials, as well as other visitors who attend the games. The only other parking area is behind the fence at the fire station, and that is needed for employees at the station. There is a lack of room to handle the debris, and there are no other hard level services behind the station in which citizens can park and unload limbs and other trash without getting their vehicles and trailers stuck in the dirt and mud. It's obvious the trash is difficult for the city to dispose of, as there is still a huge volume left on site from previous cleanups. Perhaps because the city has grown so much during the past several years, the volume of trash versus space has surpassed the city's capability to handle and process. I've not seen any rodents or other animals in the trash piles, but it's common knowledge that trash breeds rodents and other animals which are unsafe and unsanitary, and the remaining piles need to be cleaned up to prevent those problems. Additionally, when vehicles and trailers line up along 156 to enter the fire station, it becomes a safety issue and is dangerous not only for citizens participating in the brush disposal and shredding event, but for traffic in general. I ask that you work with city personnel to search for a solution which could help citizens dispose of limbs and tree clippings on a more frequent or as-needed basis. Some nearby cities are able to offer bulk pickup services on a weekly basis. I'm hopeful the city will be able to continue a spring or fall cleanup opportunity for citizens. By partnering with companies such as Staples, CVS, or even local law enforcement, the cities could continue to offer shredding, disposal for drugs and over-the-counter medications, technology items, as well as hazardous waste disposable for batteries, paint, and other products of this nature. Citizens wouldn't even need to get out of their vehicles. It could be managed as a drive-through process in a parking lot. Last one is Lisa McLeod, 313 Schreiber. Council members, I don't per se have an issue with bulk trash, but I do have the following concerns. First, environmental waste like batteries and oil. As we aren't residents of Fort Worth, we can't use the facility on Hillshire off of 156. Number two, the shredding truck. I take 1 to 2 boxes every year. Can that truck still be scheduled once a year, if not any other options that are free? Third, brush such as large limbs. These will now need to be cut into shorter sizes and bundled, and even shorter branches and brushes from the get-go will now need to be tied in bundles. This is difficult to do, especially when you're one person. That is all I have.
What I'm gathering, brush and trees is the number one thing. Is that, let me show of hands. Is that the number one? If we take, and then, I mean, Republic, they'll phone call, they'll come pick
I
that
was
up.
gonna say two of the emails mentioned that they didn't realize that we had the hazardous and e-waste. So that,
So we
yeah.
take care of that by mass mailing and advertising. So what I would ask the council, and you would have to, someone would have to make a motion to the fact, so we just make it part of the record, is that this coming year, this, in fact, I say coming year, say this May, and that we look at it, this May or this May and 6 months from then, is that it's a brush only. brush, tree, some vegetation type thing. And that's easily more manageable. It's less destructive than all the big roll-off dumpsters and things of that nature. We can conduct it, at least the one in May. I suspect, now I need feedback. I'm putting words in your mouth. Please come up here and correct me. Can we conduct this in May where it is now, where all that brush is? And listen, you know, when you're an employee, you get up here and the mayor's asking you this and you're in front of everybody, and you do this, and they're tempted to say, yeah, we can do it. No, I need your honest reply. Do you need 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks to get ready for it? What do you need?
If we're just collecting brush in the area that we has directly behind the fire station, we could handle a normal volume of that. Now, if it's hard to know what volume will come in. So if it is an
Let's go with
expected-
normal.
Let's go with an expected normal volume. We can stockpile that material for one more event. We will unfortunately back people up on the 156.
Okay, well, let me say this. You say for one more, but with the full intention, after that event, we call this
sir.
chipping company up. You chip this stuff and get it out of here, you know, right now. We don't stockpile it anymore.
That would be our method. Is we would collect everything, push it into a pile, and get people processed through as fast as possible. So we could.
And I understand people are going back up on 156. They have forever. Whenever we've had that event, that's nothing new. You know what? FedEx is just going to have to slow down and go around us. That's all I can say. Oh, we just opened up past that parkway. Maybe we need to give them a map. So, to do whatever we need to do to prep the site, to drive in, to figure out a route, your traffic route through there. When do you think we ought to advertise that we would have this event? In May or June? I don't know.
I would say we should shoot for the end of May,
The end of May?
and we'll make sure we can pull off that event.
Okay, and so y'all be planning on it. If there's any logistical issues you discover between, say, now and the next meeting, you bring it to our attention, I mean, as soon as you can. But we're going to tentatively cancel. Does that sound acceptable?
So you're saying continue to have the May event and then,
The May event being brush only, trees only.
but not on the date that's on the website, like maybe a little later, you're saying in May?
That would be.
Yeah, it's Memorial Day. And then kind of come back together and talk about how the cost and how it went, and then we talk about the August date later.
With the way the schedule is, I mean, you're basically looking at the day we already got it on the calendar, 13th. It's been on the calendar for over a year. Or at best, maybe the 20th. That's it. So you're not changing it but a week.
Okay, well, tell us what you need to get
I would say
prepped.
leave it on the 13th myself. Rather than change it, you've already got it out there. It's been that way. It's already been on our website for a year.
Then I'd also make a
That's it.
suggestion that on the website, on the August 12th and November 11th, you could say TBD or TBA. I mean, that way people they know that these are going to be discussed as well. So it's these 4 dates and that's what it's going to be, but that's just my suggestion is maybe August and November
Well,
you
that,
put.
to me also, if you do it on the 13th, sorry, but May is a wet month, and where that is on that slope over there, it does get wet because you didn't notice in the pictures of the pond right below there. That happens to be the drain for that pond runs right through where the trees are.
Let me ask
So
you
that
this.
pile is.
Do
So
you
that would give
need,
you a follow-up week.
let me ask you this. Do you need money to buy rock material for roadway? Or are you just going to drive out on the bare ground?
Typically, it's on bare ground, but that has caused the cancellation of the last 2.
Okay.
But David just said, keep it the 13th, because if it needs to be canceled, it can be rescheduled the 20th. That's what you just said, correct?
Yeah, that way you got a follow-up the very next weekend. If you push it towards the end of the month, then it could be pushed you don't know how far out you might get. That makes an easy follow.
All right, so we
Put it on the
can
13th,
also note it on our calendar if there's,
Put it on there, rain out day.
if the rain out date would be the 20th. All right.
Remember how many Wild West festivals had to get rained out at the same time of year, so.
And this is brush only,
Yep.
correct? Councilman Horde, brush only, right?
This would be the once a year event that would have had the dump. And Mayor Hosey, if I could add one more thing, if you don't mind.
Please.
I will say on behalf of Public Works, and I'm sure David agrees, the one component that we miss the most about getting rid of this event is the interaction with the residents. Like, I recognize everybody here. I know I've helped at least everybody behind us unload, and it is a time of year we get to see people in a different light, in a different place, and we've enjoyed it. So it's never the amount of work. It's really just the place to store this and to keep this thing running and keeping it as a park. I know I speak on behalf of all Public Works, but I think David would agree as well. Thank you.
It's always been the best part of the event. Got to see people that send them meters, but when you see them in this field, they're not happy. The field's too high. They're happy we're there.
Yeah. Well, whether you realize it or not, most of the time when we interact with citizens, they're all mad. They always, everybody's, when they come up to City Hall, there's a problem. There is a problem. Very good. Okay.
Mayor Holsey, I do have a
yes.
question. If we're considering this on going forward, do we need to table a piece of it on the aspect of wanting to find an alternate venue down the road? I think we need to address that. If we're going to want to find an alternate venue down the road, that we need to actually have a place where we want to bring it back.
No, you don't.
I think we can bring it back anytime if we need to.
Back at any
Okay.
time. But what we are going to do, knowing what your parallel desire, you want to continue this, but you also want those ball fields looking nice. All right. We've got to come up with a plan and bring it to you and propose it to you. And we're just going to have to look around town. What can we do? And this is not anything that, it's probably 3 weeks ago. It's like, what are we going to do? It just dawned on us. We just finished building that parking lot. We just finished doing this. Oh, we got the county coming in to do the chip seal, and now we want to do this. Well, I need to take this to the council. Let's talk about this thing. And that's what we've done. All right. So we're going to go ahead and have a brush only event in May 13th, on the schedule on the calendar, rain out date being the 20th. If it's that, we'll have to reschedule. We'll have to think. Yeah. But we'll go with the first rain out date. And we will be continually looking, where can we do this to support it? I understand the need for it, but also understand we're running out of room. But this was a good discussion. It was. Great. Okay. I don't think I need a motion to that. It's well documented and all recorded what we're going to do.
So no action will be taken?
Correct. So you guys have just provided your opinion for staff to how to move forward.
All right. Item 8, executive session. We have no items for executive session. 10, future agenda items. 9, there's no action to take for that from the executive session. Item 10, future agenda items. Council, do you have anything?
I had asked about the Crime Watch and getting the weekly report. So that was something I was hoping we could reinstate. I found them, but it was from 2020, 2019. There were some from 2021. So we did get them.
I'll inquire with Tarrant County I mean, was there information in there that is more or you had different than the monthly report you get now?
Yes, they just went into more detail with like some of the major incidents and the total police incidents handled and because we were always getting the other reports, and then they would do police activity in the city of Haslett. So
I will you send me one of those reports so when I call, if you email it to me, do that. Thank you. And then that way I know I can have them look at it and go, why was it stopped? So I'll report back onto that. Any other agenda item?
I have no future agenda items, but if I can I back up to item 4 briefly?
Wait, okay.
But
What
it's
is
just
that you want to do?
public comment, really. If anybody attended the Hazard Park Board Easter egg hunt this past Saturday, I want to say the weather was perfect. We had an awesome turnout with kids. Excellent volunteers came out, helped distribute out 23,000 eggs. And the timeline on that, they were picked up in 16 minutes with all that. Very recorded. And I would like to give a personal pat on the back commendation to, I think the lady's name is Emily, that helped.
Emily Walter
was out there getting things set up, did an excellent job keeping it organized and in control, and very well done.
and Public Works also was there, so thank y'all.
So Emily Walter is our Public Works Administrative Assistant that we hired. Dynamite young lady.
But it was-
I do want to give a shout out to Councilmember Morrow, because Councilmember Morrow went to a local church, Oasis Church. How many volunteers did you get?
I think they said 16, and they told me
16.
8, and then 16 showed up, and they were wonderful.
They did, yes, they were instrumental in getting the 23,000 eggs put out. So they did an awesome job with it. So all in all the people, there were other public works people there that helping. Everybody did a great job. It was put out, organized, and picked up very promptly. Real good event.
Good job. That's excellent. That was good. It was an awesome day. Beautiful day. Today was a beautiful day. And any other comments? Okay. All right. No future agenda items. Got those listed that you spoke of. All right. 11, adjourn. May I have a motion?
Mayor Halsey, I move to adjourn.
Motion's made to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor? It's unanimous. We're adjourned. Thank you all.